Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
We're going to talk about a show from last year that may have scarred you for life.
Oh, come on, it's not that bad.
I'm not talking Book of Boba Fett. I'm talking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, that one did. No, I'm kidding. Where am I?
Ewan McGregor is apparently hopeful for more Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Can he not leave Tatooine this time, and can it be an introspect?
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if people would watch that.
Oh,
sorry.
hold
people
on.
would watch that. The problem is, would Disney Plus get the numbers they want?
No. Well, maybe. I don't know.
It's hard to say. You throw a legacy character in and you might get surprised.
Can you imagine if they had kind of taken the Andor style of writing and mixed it with Kenobi? What we would have got?
Sorry, I'm imagining Kenobi as Andor.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like a similar... I'm not saying kind of the same thing as Andor as much as that kind of style of writing. That kind of seriousness to take the story. That attention to detail.
Well, Ewan has stated he is hopeful for more seasons of Kenobi as he kind of reflected on how the series allowed him to work with old friends and explore his character's place in the framework of Star Wars.
He had a pretty solid place already.
Yeah,
He might not know that, but he's pretty entrenched in the story of Star Wars.
absolutely. Without him, Luke never acts.
Without him, Anakin never... I don't know. I was going to say never falls, but I don't think that's necessarily true.
No, that's not necessarily true.
But if Qui-Gon trains Anakin, maybe he doesn't fall. So he plays his part in the downfall of Anakin. Maybe not, certainly not intentionally, but he has his role to play.
Right now, Ewan is doing a digital press tour. I don't know how you call it a tour, but
You sit at home on Zoom. sounds like a pretty easy press tour compared to
doing
what they usually do.
the Obi-Wan Kenobi rounds because they want the show, by they I mean Disney, wants the show to get recognized for upcoming awards ceremonies. Some of the big ones are about to hit. So, of course, he was asked about the possibility of the future seasons of Kenobi, and he said, I was so happy to do it again, and so happy to work with Hayden again, and I hope we get the chance to do it again.
I mean, that could just be him politely saying, sure, I'd do it again, but not really. I mean, we even talked about Daisy Ridley yesterday and her sounding kind of eager to maybe come back to the franchise. And that's probably also just, as much fun as we had with the speculation, it's probably also just her, of course, saying the answer, the politically correct answer, if you will.
When Disney does put out something good, or is about to put out something good, why not throw your name back in the hat?
Well, sure, yeah.
Andor was just really, really loved. Mandalorian, next season's about to come, really, really popular. Why not be like, hey, Disney's about to be riding a little bit of a high.
Yeah.
Remember me?
Why shut the door?
I'm Rey Skywalker.
You never know when they're going to come with the perfect idea or something you really love. So you and Daisy, I'm sure they all keep that door open for the most part.
You don't even want to know what doors are still open.
But no, I mean, I don't want to read too much into it. Maybe he really does want to do it again. Maybe he really loved working with Hayden again. Maybe Hayden loved it, and there's a really good script idea, and they do it again, and it's better than the first time around. Like I've said many times before, I'm not a big fan of the first Kenobi. In fact, I really thought there was some issues with it. But if they can get it right, if we can get Kenobi on Tatooine, we can get some sort of introspect, and
This is where he's training with Qui-Gon now, so we could get a really cool series
Yeah.
involving mainly the two of them.
yeah,
And maybe if you want, flash off to young Leia having an adventure on her own as a subplot.
we don't need
without,
that.
I'm just saying, do something, if you want to make adventure and
then have
action
a Leia
included,
show if you really want to do that.
flash off to somebody else. Don't involve somebody who shouldn't be.
No, I mean,
Or
I
just
get
have
what you're...
Tusken Raiders be a problem, or the story plot from the original book.
I get what you're saying, but we don't need to bring in Leia just
You're right.
for the heck of it.
Let's just go with the plot then from the original book. It's not too
Something
late.
like that. You could kind of adapt it to work.
Definitely advance.
Even though it takes place right after Revenge of the Sith, you could still have it work.
You could definitely still have it work.
Yeah. There's nothing, it's not really time sensitive per se. But yeah, I think this is just Ewan keeping the door open. I mean, why slam it shut? Especially if you did enjoy your time with Hayden and doing this again. Just like Daisy was probably keeping the door open yesterday, though. I do find it curious. She had lunch with Kathleen Kennedy. That's probably nothing. It's probably something that just happens when she's in town and they touch base and maybe throw some ideas back and forth for potential maybe future projects to gauge her interest and all that. So I'm not going to read much into either one of these, to be completely honest, but it is fun to speculate.
Ewan also went on to speak about his experiences noting he kind of wanted to return to the role even after completing work on Revenge of the Sith in the mid-2000s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe he is like, hey, let's do it again. I had fun. I mean, I'm not saying he's not being completely honest. That yeah, I'm down. Let's do more.
Mm-hmm. He said, in the old days, I would joke. 2000s, the old days. In the old days, I would joke about
the old days?
There must be a good story to tell between episodes 3 and 4. But it's true. I always felt that there were. I feel like Deborah Chow found it and absolutely nailed it. Just like the story that we wanted to see between the last one that we did in the first one that was done in 1977. I think it just adds to our knowledge of the characters, and it's satisfying for the fans.
Well, that's debatable, but sure.
I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi did do well for Disney Plus based on viewing numbers.
Certainly, yeah.
I mean, there have been rumors that Lucasfilm may do a follow-up. We've been hearing these for a while now.
Yeah.
But there's no official word about anything. Not the series getting renewed, not some kind of a spin-off, not any movie, nothing. But I could definitely say this year at Celebration could be very
It's not impossible. Something, we're going to get some kind of cool, different,
Celebration
unexpected
is going to be
announcements.
crazy.
I think it's going to be because as I've said before, we're kind of at that point now where we know everything that has been announced. It's either in production or it's, except for like the Lando series, which is probably just never going to happen for better or worse. Though Donald Glover's Lando was probably one of the highlights of Solo. Anyway, we've kind of reached that point where we have no idea what the future is. Where, back in 2020, Kennedy made this announcement of all these future shows and all this stuff, and that's all kind of now either here or really close. So it's time for another wave of big announcements.
Interesting is that I feel like at the very minimal at Celebration, we're going to be seeing trailers for Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte
teaser, yeah.
We're going to hear word of the next projects coming.
Yeah.
Whether they be
the
animated
next movie
or
will
live
absolutely
action.
be announced, and if
They
not,
have
then everybody at Lucasfilm should be fired at this point. being candid. You got to get movies out. Come on, guys.
Maybe we'll hear some update from one of the 8, 9, 10 video games that are in the works.
Certainly. There's a lot of video games in the works right now. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. There is potentially a lot of really good things on the horizon if they can get their stuff together and just make good stuff. It's not hard, right? Well, I mean, it's hard, but it shouldn't be for a multi-billion-dollar company.
Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen actually spoke some about that final battle in Kenobi in an interview that was released by Disney as more of this awards campaign virtual tour thing, where both actors discussed their experiences filming and the joy they felt working together again. Ewan was surprised by the experience of filming the intense conflict between Obi-Wan and Vader. He said, it took us by surprise a bit, I think, in the playing of it, because it was quite emotional in a way I don't think I had imagined it would be.
I think the Vader Kenobi fight at the end was my favorite and least favorite part of the series simultaneously.
Yes, yeah.
Because I don't think it should have happened.
Right, but at the same time, it was acted brilliantly.
I think there were some really good lines. I think Kenobi leaving Vader alive is an atrocity because it now makes it look like Kenobi has blood on his hands for everything Vader does. So it's somehow simultaneously, like I said, it's somehow really good. It's really well acted. I love Ewan. I'm going to call him Ewan from now on. I love Ewan and Hayden together. They are great together. I like Vader and Kenobi interacting is cool, even if it's in the context that might not make perfect sense. It's a great scene, yet it is also a terrible scene.
Ewan kind of went on to describe taking on an Obi-Wan who lost his master, his apprentice, the entire order. He described Obi-Wan at this point as a man who has lost his faith. He goes on to say, wouldn't it be interesting to take this character who we know and love from Alec Guinness through the original films, through my work in the prequels, and take him to a really different place where he's broken? But I couldn't really have imagined what that felt like until we played it, and it was really interesting. You never read the book, clearly.
No, probably not.
No, he did not. And then next, Ewan spoke about the physicality of the role, as seen through the lens of an out-of-practice Obi-Wan.
Master who hasn't been...
out-of-practice Ewan.
Yes. Master who has not been training.
He said, the actual fight itself was unbelievably well-designed and choreographed by our fight arranger. Beautifully, beautifully realized, so carefully thought about that he'd studied all of the fights we'd done in the prequels and took Obi-Wan's style into a place where somebody who's rusty, also a bit older, and just really well thought out, but it was hard.
Other than a little too dark and the moment with the rocks.
Well, he doesn't control the darkness.
No.
This is just him praising the fight choreography.
I'm critiquing the whole thing here. Other than the darkness and the rocks, which I thought was a bit much. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was good. It looked like Ewan and Hayden's. It looked like them from the prequels going at it again.
Yeah,
I agree.
You even mentioned how hard it was to fight on the surfaces they were fighting on because it was gravelly, so it felt like standing on marbles half the time.
Well,
I wonder how many bloopers there are of one of those two slipping.
Can you imagine like that real fight between Obi-Wan and Vader? One of them just slips and the other kills him. Aha! You slipped on the low ground. Terrible.
He went on to speak about the experience of reuniting with Hayden and how that added to the emotion of those scenes. He says, I think both of us felt like it was beautiful for us to be working again together. And there was something about our lives and everything that happened to us since we last worked together. It was sort of in the air between us, so it was real. I don't know if the word meta is right, but there was something beautiful about that, and it did. It took me by surprise. It was just very moving.
That's great. I mean, I'm happy for them, but yet at the same time, like, just because, you want to bring two actors back doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Well, and didn't Hayden have, like, a rough time of it between
that's
then
an
and
understatement.
now?
Yeah.
And he's saying that was, like, in the air between them, so it really added to that emotional levity because it was meta.
What I'm saying is I'm glad for Ewan, and especially Hayden, who, he took his lumps during the prequels, and ever since there are people who... No, I mean, yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's part of the deal, right? You sign up to be Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars prequels. There's every chance that your life is never ever... I mean, not every chance. Your life is never ever going to be the same.
It's the role of a celebrity.
Exactly. Fame comes with a price, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's like, do we purposely go and make this show just for them? No, I don't think that's why you do it. I'm not saying that is why they did it, though I do think that is why they did it, to get Vader and Kenobi together again. But no, it's cool to see that this means so much to the actors. But at the same time, that's not a reason to necessarily make an entire series.
No, I agree entirely. I understand that maybe fans would be interested to see what happened in between, but nobody was asking for it.
It's one of those things where it's like, I've always assumed, like, nothing happened between there.
That's kind of the impression Kenobi. They wanted us to have, and then they're like, why don't we change that? And say that a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, which is why I do like the Kenobi novel, because it's like, yeah, something did. I mean, I'm not saying literally nothing where he just sat in the desert for 19 years and did nothing. I'm saying nothing of, like, real major note happened for the overall story.
That's why the Kenobi novel was perfect.
Yeah.
He had an initial trial, like, am I going to seriously be able to sit here? Or am I going to maybe do my own thing? I mean, he had a trial.
Yeah, he had a decision to make. Am I going to try to completely isolate myself, or am I going to maybe help a little bit here and there?
What do you think overall? Should there be more Kenobi, or is it time to let it rest?
If they want to do something small, something personal, something introspective, okay.
Yeah.
If you again want him gallivanting across the galaxy and all that with Leia and other legacy characters, no.
All right. I kind of feel the same. I feel like I'm ready for a serious take on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I don't think it's that it didn't try to be serious. I think they just kind of missed the mark on what... I mean, I don't know. Some fans love it. That's fine. But I think they missed the mark on what a lot of fans were really hoping for out of it. I don't know. So do it again only if you have a small plan. It's so strange to say, but, if not, just let it lie. It's fine.
Let it lie.
Kenobi's story has been told. He's good. All right, well, that's all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. Do you want to see a Kenobi Season 2? What would that look like? And what do you think about Ewan's comments here about Hayden coming back and all of that? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.